Hello and welcome to the third part of our walkthrough of Senua's Sacrifice. We are heading towards Valravan's realm after finishing Surt's Gauntlet, and this part has a bit of backtracking to it, I'm afraid. This is one of the, let's say, weakest elements of the game. In order to access a new path, a new realm, you have to go back to the main chamber, to the entrance to Helheim. So let's do this bit of backtracking so we can continue our adventure.
Senua saw a deep connection form between the Northmen and the darkness. If his tales of hell were true, then that was the source of it. She learned everything she could from him, until she too could see what he saw.
So this has to do with what I said before in the ending of the second walkthrough, and that is Senua's madness and Druth's madness kind of complemented one another. Druth's darkness and his hatred for the Northmen became her darkness, and it was one of the main reasons that started her journey to save Dillion's soul from the Norse Helheim. It is very, let's say, questionable what would have become of Senua if Druth wasn't here for her to fill her mind with his tales and his quest for vengeance.
It's a serious question. When the illusion of self is shattered, you simply cease to be. Though it may not seem that way to others, you know when it is true. You can feel it. The stranger in your own body. An imposter. And nothing is the same ever again. Senua has died before, and she will do so again. You can be sure of that.
That's a very interesting vision of death. It does not refer to physical death, but to the death we experience within our own mind, which to a certain degree is at least as significant as our physical death, because it shatters the self. It shatters the vision we have of ourselves and of the world we inhabit. So this is something very poignant that the game tries to establish here. And in my opinion, it does so in a very original manner. New types of enemies, new droggers, so to speak. Again, we can activate our special attacks now, which will make this a bit easier. And yet another new type of enemy, the one with the shield. This one is actually hard to beat, because it can block most attacks. So you have to hack and slash at him. You can only get one hit at a time, for the most part. Finally, the mirror attack charge.
She can't get through. She needs to go through the gate. She can't. Why? She's only one test. Just one. She's only one. What's the other test?
The Northmen say that in the beginning there was nothing but darkness, bitter cold to the north, fiery hot to the south. They say cold formed ice, which melted from the sparks from the south. The power of the darkness gave life to the dripping ice, and the first giant was born, and was named Ymir. The ice continued to drip, and the power of the void gave life to it, and it became a cow, whose milk fed the giant. That's right, a cow, but you weren't expecting that.
Again, this all-encompassing term of darkness that permeates everything, basically, and it has to do with Norse mythology, but it also has to do with Senua's obsessions with darkness. She feels that she's cursed, and her darkness is basically her number one enemy in this game.
Valravan, ancestor of the seers and master of ravens. He hunts his prey with his powers of illusion and feasts on their remains. Follow the path to Valravan and defeat him in battle to earn his mark. The gate to Helheim cannot be opened without it.
So we have our quest in front of us, and that is to defeat Valravan. And this is a very interesting part of the game, as you will soon see, because the puzzles here are very different to what one would normally expect. Some are strange and really confusing, as you will undoubtedly see.
Illusion hides the path to Valravan. Don't trust your eyes.
Find another way to see the truth.
Yep, so our senses tend to deceive us, and I guess the way light juggles in this image here basically reinforces that very point.
It's a door. No, it's not. Push it.
Senua sees more than the average person, one can say, but there is also the question about the truth of what she sees. Does she simply see more, or does she also see what is not there? So does she experience more of reality, or does she only experience what she subjectively adds to said reality?
It's funny. We all want to see behind the veil, don't we? Once we do, we mostly just close our eyes again and pretend what we saw was never really there.
So the path forward opened the moment we sat beneath that portal over there. Which is an interesting enough mechanic.
Senua never could close her eyes, however hard she tried, begged.
She's a haunted person.
This is the price she pays for seeing things differently. Because once you gaze into the relentless darkness, all that lurks within it can see you too.
Way to indirectly quote Nietzsche there. Nietzsche said, once you gaze into the abyss gazes back into you. Which is exactly the point here. But there is also the question of what this abyss truly is. It is a subjective abyss, it is an objective abyss, or does it reside at the intersection between subjectivity and objectivity? And that's an existentialist question as well. More fight. Or fighting.
Do it. You're close.
And if everything here takes place in Senua's mind, or if her experiences color the truth, one could ask himself whether these are joggers or whether these are actual Norsemen, actual Viking soldiers that she sees as demons because of what they did to her and to Dylan and to Drew. Shit. There we go.
The Northmen will not stop her. She will find what she's looking for.
And this is exactly what I said. She fought demons or ghosts in her mind, and the game refers to them as Northmen. So, are they demons? Are they people she sees as demons? It is hard to say. And the game is purposefully opaque regarding this topic.
Valravan's power of illusion comes from ravens. Allowing the ravens to break his magic seal.
Show me what you have seen, truth. Look how much has changed.
These are the ravens, apparently. Runic ravens. And he's another of Valravan's portals that reshape reality or disrupt illusion, whatever you may want to call it. And you can see this so-called door has opened up now. I like
Break the seal,
how the flame
align
dances
the
around.
ravens with the mark of Valravan.
It's like a tear inside or into reality. So let's try and align this with the symbol of Valravan.
Something's shifted. Something's shifted. Can you feel it?
And deeper we go.
Do you feel it too? It's like crossing into another world that looks the same but feels different. An imposter world where the forest itself is watching.
So earlier on she said that she feels like an imposter in her own skin. And now she feels like the outside world has become an imposter just as well. So perhaps these two are connected, the inner and outer worlds. One could assume so.
Another game.
Another case. Stay back. It's not safe. Don't listen to them. Listen. Don't. Open it. Don't touch it.
To break the seal, align the ravens with the mark of Valravan.
What does it mean? Which ravens? Where are they?
Apparently the voices are still bickering amongst themselves.
Line up the ravens.
So let's see what we have here. We have a portal there.
I hear something.
If you hear the song of Valravan, follow it, and it will lead you to him. But be aware of his illusions. You can't always trust your eyes.
But apparently you can trust your ears.
The song. Valravan's song.
Listen to them. You need to focus.
Valravan. Challenge me.
This song is pretty scary.
He disappears. Where is he? Find him.
So apparently he moved over there. But how do we get that? Not through here. And not through here either. Is this a portal? Yes. Oh, and it opened all the way here. Some of these trees, if you look at them from a certain angle, it's like they have eyes. The trees have eyes.
Is she lost? Wouldn't be the first time. Last winter, before the tragedy, she journeyed into the wilds of her native land, living off berries, roots, and rabbits. It's not uncommon, you see. We call such a person a Gelt. Some, like Truth, become Gelts in search of penance. Others, like Senua, to purge a curse. Those who make it back are forever changed.
So this gives a bit of context to her past before Dillian Until this moment, we basically knew that her entire quest was about Dillian and freeing his soul from her underworld. But apparently there are some stronger emotions at work here. And one of them is apparently guilt. And we also learned that her so-called curse runs deeper and is older than we might have originally imagined. Hey, stop putting it down! You silly boys. Right. We just had to go below the ledge. Or beneath the ledge. Let's open the doors to facilitate travel.
She can get up now. She can get up now. What's happening? She can get up now. How can she get up? Must be magic. Dark magic. A trick. Valravan. Tricking her. Valravan. How can she get up? Wait. It's him. Dark magic draws her closer.
So apparently now we can get up there.
He's helping her. It's not him. It's a trick. She's doing it. He's not tricking her. It's magic. It's an illusion.
I like how these voices basically reflect different parts of Senua. And they also underscore the complexity of her character. They reflect her fears, but they do so in very distinct ways. And that's basically what we do to ourselves most of the time. We doubt ourselves, we are unhappy with ourselves, we mock ourselves, but we always find the motivation to move forward and fulfill our existential plans, whatever they may be. So these voices basically do just that in this game. They are reflections of our complexity, of our complex personalities. I'm not sure that this was a good path. And I can't get here anymore. Oh. Great. We are making progress. Hermann Hesse once said that we have multiple hearts that beat in our chests. And again, this is what those voices remind me of. We think or we imagine most of the time that we are unitary beings, that we are one with ourselves, but most of the times we are not. Most of the time we struggle with ourselves, and that's because different parts of us have different motivations, have different interpretations of the world, and there is always an inner struggle for the dominant voice, so to speak, the one that actually triggers and reflects our innermost actions.
We picture fear, and we think of a shadow in the woods, a creature in the night. If only it were that simple. The worst kind comes without warning. Deep and primal signal from within. A reminder that just because you cannot see the threat, it doesn't mean that it's not already here.
That's true.
She can't go in there. He's there.
We are used to believing that fear always has a particular object it latches on.
Find your own path.
We are afraid of spiders, we are afraid of snakes, we are afraid of the dark, we are afraid of dying. But most of the time, fear is a primal feeling that is there within us, no matter, regardless of different objects we might associate it with. It just runs deeper, and what we are trying to do is rationalize it, put a certain order, establish a certain order within it and to it. But that's just falsifying reality, and that's just oversimplifying the view we have of ourselves and how complex our beings and our feelings actually are. Shield bearers, my favorites. I hate shield bearers. Damn, this is a really long battle. This takes a long time. Phew!
Ymir was a frost giant, a being of darkness, and all his sons and grandsons were dark after him. Of his daughters and granddaughters, some were monsters, while others fair. But there was another who came from the ice, Buri. In shape, he was like a man, big and powerful. His son, Bor, took a fair giant to be his wife, and they had 3 sons. Odin was the eldest, and the Northmen hold him to be the foremost of the gods, the All-Father.
So Ymir and the original fire giants are pretty much like the Titans in Greek mythology. They, like Kronos and Uranus, they came before the gods that the regular ancient Greek praised to. And this is the case with Norse mythology as well. Ymir and Buri and all these other giants came before, let's say, the regular gods like Odin and Thor and Freya and Loki and the other, let's say, members of the Norse pantheon. At any rate, I'm gonna end this video here because Valravan's realm is rather big, and we're about halfway into it, I would predict. So that's it for now. I'm gonna see you later. Take care.